If you were to put a healthy, adult human in a closed ring with almost any medium-sized mammal on Earth, the human loses. Every single time. Against a chimpanzee, your limbs would be dislocated in seconds. Against a leopard, your skin offers zero protection. Against a wolf, your lack of jaw strength makes you entirely defenseless. By almost every physical metric of survival, Homo sapiens should have been a brief, forgettable evolutionary experiment. We have no armor. We have no claws. We can't climb fast enough to escape big cats, and our night vision is useless the moment the sun goes down. And yet, fossil records tell us a disturbing story. Between 50,000 and 10,000 years ago, a mere blink in geological time, human beings migrated out of Africa and across the rest of the planet. And wherever we arrived, the giants vanished. Mammoths, woolly rhinos, giant ground sloths weighing 3 tons, apex predators like the saber-toothed cat. Over 65% of all large mammal species on Earth were systematically erased. For decades, historians assumed this mass extinction was driven purely by our intelligence, our ability to fashion flint spears and coordinate in tribes. But tools alone don't explain how a creature that runs at an average speed of 6 miles per hour hunted down animals that could outrun a racehorse. The true weapon that allowed our ancestors to drive the largest beasts on Earth to absolute extinction wasn't held in our hands. It was a gross, liquid adaptation covering every single inch of our skin. To understand why this liquid changed history, you first have to understand a fundamental rule of biology. Muscle movement generates heat. The faster an animal moves, the more kinetic energy its muscles consume, and the hotter its internal core becomes. If a mammal's internal body temperature rises by just a few degrees past its limit, its blood vessels dilate, its organs begin to fail, and its brain quite literally begins to cook. Nature solved this problem for most animals using 2 main methods: panting or sweating through dense fur. Take a cheetah, for example. A cheetah is an absolute masterpiece of biological engineering. It can sprint up to 70 miles per hour, but it can only sustain that speed for about 20 seconds. Why? Because panting requires rapid, shallow breathing through the mouth and nose. You cannot pant while sprinting at full speed. So, as the cheetah runs, its internal temperature skyrockets toward 41 degrees Celsius. Once it hits that thermal wall, the cheetah has to stop. It has to hide in the shade and pant for 20 to 30 minutes just to dump that heat before its brain suffers permanent damage. Every predator on Earth operates under this exact constraint. They are built for explosive, violent bursts of power, followed by long periods of mandatory rest. Thick fur makes this problem even worse. Fur is incredible at trapping heat during freezing nights, but during a high-speed chase, it acts like a heavy winter coat that you can never take off. Then, roughly 2 million years ago, a bizarre genetic mutation began spreading through early human populations. Our ancestors slowly shed their thick, protective fur coat, and in its place, our skin developed something almost entirely unique in the animal kingdom: up to 5 million specialized eccrine sweat glands. While a lion has to stop and pant to cool its blood, a human being coats its bare skin in water while actively sprinting. As the surrounding air hits that thin layer of moisture, evaporative cooling instantly pulls heat away from our bloodstream, dropping our internal temperature on the fly. We became the only animal on the planet capable of dumping thermal energy at maximum performance. And very soon, the giants of the prehistoric world would realize why that made us their worst nightmare. Once early humans unlocked evaporative cooling, they invented a hunting strategy so alien, so unnatural, that no animal on Earth had an evolutionary defense against it. It's called persistence hunting. And to the giant beasts of the Pleistocene, it was pure psychological horror. Imagine you are a giant bison or a woolly mammoth living on the open plains. It is high noon. The sun is beating down at 40 degrees Celsius. Every predator you have ever known, the cave lions, the saber-tooths, the wolves, is sleeping in the shade, physically incapable of hunting in this heat. The savanna is quiet. You feel safe. Suddenly, 2 scrawny, hairless apes walk out of the bush. They aren't sprinting. They aren't roaring. They are just walking steadily toward you, holding long wooden sticks. You do what any sane animal does. You bolt. You sprint at 30 miles per hour, leaving them miles behind in seconds. You stop under a tree, catch your breath, and wait for your heart rate to drop. 15 minutes pass. Your internal temperature is elevated, but you are slowly cooling down. Then, you look at the horizon. There they are again. Those same two apes, moving at the exact same steady, unbroken trot. You panic and run again. 2 miles this time. You stop in a dry riverbed, panting heavily, desperate to dump the heat trapped beneath your thick hide. But panting takes time, and your core temperature is climbing higher with every passing minute. 10 minutes later, the bushes part. They are back. This is the trap. The human hunters don't need to be faster than you for 10 seconds. They only need to keep moving fast enough to prevent you from stopping. Every time you sprint, you generate massive amounts of thermal energy. And every time you try to rest and pant, the humans reappear, forcing you to sprint again before your body can cool down. By hour 3, something terrifying happens inside your body. The heat stacked in your muscles has nowhere to go. Your blood thickens. Your liver and kidney cells begin to break down under thermal stress. Your legs turn to lead, not because your muscles are tired, but because your central nervous system is shutting down to prevent your brain from frying. By hour 4, you can no longer run. You drop to your knees in the dust, completely conscious, but entirely paralyzed by heat stroke. The two hairless apes finally catch up. They aren't even out of breath. They walk up to a 3-ton titan that could crush them in an instant and finish the hunt with a single, effortless spear thrust. This single tactical shift broke the ancient ecosystem. Before humans, hunting was high risk and high energy. A lion had to commit massive physical effort to catch prey, and if it missed, it wasted precious calories. But persistence hunting flipped the risk equation. Humans barely expended any energy by trotting, while forcing the prey to expend maximum energy until it collapsed. Because sweat allowed humans to hunt in the blistering heat of midday, we effectively unlocked a 24-hour hunting cycle. We hunted while the megafauna were resting, forcing large mammals into a state of chronic exhaustion and stress. Large animals like mammoths, giant sloths, and woolly rhinos had low reproduction rates. A female mammoth carried a calf for nearly 2 years and raised it for a decade. They were biologically built for a world where apex predators only took down the sick or the young. They were not built for a predator that could systematically track down and kill healthy adults every single afternoon without getting tired. As herbivore populations crashed under human hunting pressure, a catastrophic domino effect swept across the food chain. The massive apex predators, cats weighing 800 pounds, massive dire wolves, found their food supply vanishing. And when those predators tried to defend their territory, human tribes used the exact same thermal tactic against them. We tracked lions under the midday sun until they were too heat-exhausted to fight back, clearing whole territories of competition. In less than 10,000 years, the giants that had ruled the planet for millions of years were gone. Not because we were stronger, faster, or armed with superweapons, but because our skin was water-cooled. Today, we view sweat as an embarrassment. We spend billions of dollars every year on antiperspirants, deodorants, and synthetic fabrics specifically designed to stop or hide the very mechanism that made us the most terrifying apex predator in Earth's history. We look at our bare, hairless skin and soft bodies and assume we are delicate creatures compared to the wild beasts of the forest. But underneath your skin sits the exact same biological cooling system that ran giant mammoths into thermal collapse across the prehistoric savannas. You belong to the only lineage of primates that traded thick protective fur for millions of microscopic water pumps, a species engineered by millions of years of evolution to run across burning continents without stopping. And the ultimate irony of modern life is simple. We built the ultimate biological engine to chase down giants under a blazing sun, only to spend our lives sitting entirely still in air-conditioned rooms, trying our hardest not to sweat at all.